Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of very interesting bodybuilding updates, and the first one is about Regan Grimes. Now, so far, every time I made a Regan Grimes update, I was kinda doing it half-jokingly because he always looked the same, really. It seemed like he made no progress in the off-season, but this update is actually different. This time around, he actually started looking pretty freaking huge, to be honest. You're gonna see the video in a second, but aside from the physique update itself, it's interesting what he says in the caption. So he says, huge times aura. And we're gonna talk about that in a second. You guys probably know what that means. Now, as far as his physique update, let's take a look at it. Front double bicep actually looks pretty massive. Front lat spread as well. Side chest for sure too, yeah. Look at the back. The back actually looks really freaking massive. Most muscular looks huge as well, both variations. So I don't know what he did, but I'm assuming this is just pure speculation. I think it's a pretty good guess to say that so far he wasn't exactly blasting gear. He was probably like doing low doses and, trying to get as big as possible while just, eating right, training hard, whatever hard training is for Regan, and not really blasting anything. Recently, he started working with Stefan Kinsel. For some reason, he's still not tagging him. But that's confirmed. I spoke to Milos Sarcev as well, and Regan mentioned that on his YouTube channel. He didn't really say Stefan's name, but the way he described it, it was obvious that it's Stefan. And Milos said that they don't work together anymore, so now he's working with Stefan. He's not tagging him still, but apparently whatever Stefan is doing with Regan, it's working. Maybe it's just the psychological aspect, new coach, a very successful coach, working with top athletes. Maybe it lit a new fire under him, and now he's working harder, he's more motivated. He had some time to rest, to recover, and he's coming back next year in 2025, and I gotta say right now, he does look bigger than ever. He already said that he was 303 pounds in his previous physique update. Right here, he might be even a little bit heavier, which is the heaviest Regan has ever gotten. I mean, usually in his off-season, he was like, 295, 297, sometimes 300, but 303, that's new. That's new, and I'm guessing here he might be even like 305, which is good. I would like to see him even heavier, but this is definitely good, especially if he was not blasting gear and he starts blasting it now as he starts slowly prepping for the next show. So it seems that, based on his look and based on the fact that he's working with, well, right now, #1 coach in the world, Stefan Kinsel, it seems like Regan is going to bring something new, something better, something we haven't seen from him so far. Now, back to his caption. He said, huge times aura. What does that mean? Well, everybody's talking about Chris Bumstead's aura that he had it on stage at Prague Pro. What that means is, in my opinion, like the personality expressed through posing, the charisma, the energy that Chris has on stage and off stage as well. And Chris Bumstead absolutely had it on that stage, or any stage really. And Regan, he's also a pretty popular bodybuilder. Not at the level of Chris Bumstead, but for an open bodybuilder, he's definitely one of the more popular guys, especially followed by younger people. So does Regan have the same charisma, same aura? Well, he definitely does have a lot of it, but not like Chris Bumstead, of course. Very few people in the history had it the way Chris Bumstead has it. I would have to say Arnold Schwarzenegger probably had even more of it. Then I would have to say Dorian Yates, in his way, for sure. Jay Cutler too, probably. A lot of guys, sure, but Regan, as of today's crop, he's one of the guys who have that sort of, not like Chris. Now, as far as his physique, if he did a Prague Pro at his best, which was Italy Pro right here, he placed second here to Nathan, but the next weekend at Spain, he actually won. He looked very similar, but this photo is higher quality right here. So if he showed up looking like this at Prague Pro, would he beat Chris Bumstead? Well, you guys probably remember when Regan Grimes competed in Classic Physique as well. It was a while ago, I think it was 2018. And of course, he downsized for that. He was competing in open bodybuilding prior to Classic Physique, so he downsized. He did a New York Pro, he won. But at the Mr. Olympia, he was, I believe, something like 8, 9, something like that. so he was far behind Chris Bumstead. But these two guys competed against each other in their amateur days. I believe this was Canadian Nationals, and I don't know who placed better here. I think Chris beat Regan here, but it was a long time ago. Of course, both of them came up big time. I think Regan grew more, of course, because he was focused on growing in open bodybuilding, but Chris made a ton of progress since then as well. And this was, I think, some sort of expo. They took their shirts off and posed a little. They both have their weaknesses and their strengths, but when I saw this, I was like, Chris looks better. But today is 2024, almost 2025. Things have changed drastically. If Regan showed up at Prague Pro at his absolute best and actually stood next to Chris Bumstead, I think Chris would have still won. I still think Regan is not that much of a mass monster. The only guy that managed to beat Chris Bumstead at Prague Pro was a 4th place finisher in the Open Olympia, Martin Fitzwater, an absolute freak. Chris managed to beat like 20 other open bodybuilders. None of them were top 10 Olympians, and Regan is. But still, I definitely think Chris would have won in this matchup if Regan looked the way he looked last year when he competed last. However, next year, when Regan puts on a little bit more muscle, and it seems like he's definitely on the right path, if he does that, if he makes progress and gets in the best shape of his life, I think he will look better than what Chris Bumstead looked like at Prague Pro, simply because of size. At that Italy show, he was like 270, so is he gonna be heavier than that? I don't think so. If he remains 270 with better conditioning though, that's gonna be really freaky. That's gonna mean more muscle, better conditioning, and Chris Bumstead is like 250, and Regan is a bit shorter, I believe. So, because of the size in the Open, I think Regan will be better bodybuilder in the Open. But if Chris does an off-season and decides to continue competing in the Open, I can see Chris winning the Mr. Olympia in the Open potentially. And I don't see Regan doing that next year. But it's definitely a very interesting comparison, and it seems like this is going to be a very good year for Regan Grimes. I'm wondering which shows he plans on doing, but now that he's working with Stefan, it seems like he's more focused than usual. I am expecting great things from Regan. Alright, the next thing we got is a new physique update from William Bonac. And honestly, his conditioning right now looks very good. It looks very good. Since the Mr. Olympia, he didn't get any fatter. I mean, he does hold a little bit of water, but not much. He looks very dry and much fuller, much rounder. Check out the video as well. And as you guys know, his coach is, well, you can guess. Basically, name a top pro bodybuilder. There are like 50% chances that they're coached by Stefan Kinsel, and Bonac is coached by Stefan Kinsel. And it seems like things are actually finally starting to click for Bonac. I mean, he had that one bad year, then he came back, and this year actually he did very well. He won Spain show. It was controversial, I know, against Behruz Tabani. A lot of you thought that Behruz should have won that show, and I think so as well. I think they gave it to Bonac because Bonac was able to travel to US and compete at a Mr. Olympia, and Behruz couldn't. But then later, when both Nathan and Bonac won their Olympic qualifications at the Dubai Pro, they gave it to Behruz because, in my opinion, and of course in the opinion of the judges, Behruz is the best in that bunch. Behruz was also supposed to compete at the Prague Pro. If he did, I would see him second. I think he would beat Sibam, but I don't think he would beat Martin Fitzwater. That would be a little bit of a stretch. However, at this show, even though Behruz might have been a little bit better, I mean, I haven't seen this show in person, but it seemed like that in the photos and the videos. And maybe I shouldn't be saying stuff like this because I'm about to compete at William Bonac Classic, but it was definitely very close. Maybe Bonac actually deserved it, but the one thing is for sure, Bonac was very close to Behruz Tabani, and Behruz Tabani is potentially like a top 6 Olympian if he gets there at some point. So Bonac came back this year. He definitely looked better than the last couple of years working with Stefan now. So now he's gonna have an off-season, and he's already looking so much better. And my question to you guys is, can William Bonac actually bring back this size, this fullness that he had back in 2019? This is from the Arnold Classic Australia 2019, where he, of course, won. Prior to that, he placed second at the Arnold Classic Ohio, second to Brandon Curry. Later at the Mr. Olympia, he placed second again to Brandon Curry. So that was a very good year for William Bonac, and it was actually extremely close between him and Brandon Curry. Like, he could have won both Arnold Classic and Mr. Olympia. It was very close. And he was even beating Hari Chopin at that time, and Hari was very good even then. So even though youth is not on William's side anymore, he right now actually looks pretty fresh. You know, he had some injuries, but it seems like they all healed. He has a very fresh looking physique, very clean physique still. What he needs is just more size, more fullness. I think he was even more conditioned this year, but he didn't have this size and fullness. So what he needs to do right now is just grow, man. Just grow, get big and full. And if he brings this blasting fullness back to the stage, he can place a lot higher than he did this year. And this year he did actually very well. He was 7th at the Mr. Olympia. And it's been a while since I saw William Bonac looking this big and full. And he has like an entire year to work on it, to improve it even more. So I think he's on the right track if he is willing to do whatever it takes. And it seems like his body is already responding very well. We might see a new comeback from William Bonac where he can actually become, again, one of the top guys in the IFBB Pro League. What do you guys think about that? Is that a possibility? Alright, and finally we got something on Krizo. So apparently he posted this story here, and he says shoulders and triceps done, which means he started training again. And if you guys watched my previous video about Krizo, in that interview he actually said that he is fully healed, that he's gonna prep for the New York Pro, and that he has a new coach, and his first name is Chris. Now in my video, I speculated that it's most likely going to be Chris Aceto, but it's not. It's actually not Chris Aceto. The real Chris actually spoke to me after he watched my video, and he explained a couple of things to me, and it's gonna be very interesting. I can't tell you guys who it is. You're gonna have to guess, but they're gonna announce it very soon. I promised I won't say who it is, but I just wanted to make it clear it's actually not Chris Aceto. My assumption was wrong. A lot of you guys had some really good guesses. Some of you were actually right. So yeah, it's not gonna be Chris Aceto, it's gonna be somebody else. And the way this thing is organized, I like it. I love it actually. I feel like Krizo is absolutely gonna be at his absolute best next year at the New York Pro, California Pro, maybe Detroit Pro. He's gonna do the American tour, like when Americans do the European tour. And it's gonna be very interesting. I think Krizo is definitely gonna win one of those shows. I don't know about the New York Pro, because there's usually at least one really heavy hitter at that show. This year, actually next year, it might be Nick Walker. It might be Martin Fitzwater as well again. We'll see, but it's not out of the question that Krizo can still win, even against those guys, especially now that he's working with this new coach, a really good coach. So it's gonna be very, very interesting year for Krizo. As you can see, he's back at training fully, he's healed, he's healthy, he's refreshed, his body is gonna rebound nicely, and he's gonna respond probably better than ever. And we're gonna see a monstrous version of Krizo. I can't wait to see it. I hope he's gonna make improvements in certain body parts, like his glutes, like his back, but really other than that, he looks phenomenal. It's all about conditioning and fullness and improving those weaknesses that are not really that weak, but they can definitely get better. Anybody can get better, everybody has something to work on, so I believe Krizo is an amazing bodybuilder. If he gets it right this time around for the next year, he can do great things for sure. Whatever you guys think, tell me down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. For more content like this, guys, stay tuned, subscribe to this channel. And if you happen to be looking for a coach, somebody who is very affordable and very available, like some of the guys who talk to me, they tell me like their coaches are taking like 24 hours to respond to them. I reply in minutes usually, unless I'm making a video, then it's like maybe an hour or I'm training, then it's maybe like an hour or two, but usually it's like minutes, it's immediate. So if you want somebody who is really focused on you, who is fast with responses, and not expensive at all compared to the top coaches, and I have a lot of experience with athletes, with competitive bodybuilders, you can check them out on my Instagram, and of course, with a lot of lifestyle people who just want to look good, lose fat, gain some muscle, natural people as well. If you guys want to work with me, just DM me on Instagram, we can talk about it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. See you soon, guys. All the best, and bye-bye.